Good afternoon, learners, and you are welcome to today's lesson. Today we are going to look at the atom, and then we will look at the building blocks of matter, and your objectives or our objectives are by the end of the lesson. We should be able to describe matter, explain what an atom is, describe the atom of an element, and explain why atoms differ from the next. All right. Now let's look at some terminologies related to this topic. We shall be dealing about the atom, and so we would like to know what the atom is. So the atom is the smallest particle of matter that can exist on its own. We will look at the nucleus, which is the central region of an atom, or you can also say the central part of an atom. We'll look at the element. So an element consists of atoms of only one kind. We will look at diatomic molecule, which is a molecule that consists of two atoms of the same kind. We will look at the compound. A compound consists of atoms of two or more different elements chemically bonded together. We will look at pure substance. A pure substance consists of atoms or molecules of the same kind. We will be looking at chemical bond. A chemical bond is the force that holds atoms together in a molecule. We'll look at electrolysis. Electrolysis is the decomposition of a compound when an electrical current is passed through a solution of the compound. We will look at a mixture. A mixture is formed when two or more different elements or compounds are mixed. We will look at physical separation. And to separate things by physical means is just a manual separation by hand or apparatus. We will also look at indivisibility. Here we are looking at things or substances that are unable to be divided or cut up. And then we'll be looking at what noble gases. And the noble gases are the 6 gases that occur naturally as atoms. We shall be looking at that from the periodic table. Okay, now let's go on. Building blocks of matter. So point 1, everything in the universe is made up of matter. So if you are sitting on a desk, it's made up of matter. If you are lying on a bed while listening to this, it's made up of matter. Your books, your pens, your very self, your body, your hair, the books, the pens, in fact, all living and non-living in the universe are made up of what? Matter. So, and what is matter? Matter is everything that has mass and occupies space. Okay, so and all matter is made up of what? Tiny particles called atoms. And 4, an atom is the smallest particle of matter that can exist on its own. So let me try to explain this further. If we take a chalk and then you divide, we try to break that chalk down into a powder form. And then what happens is that you are able to take a small particle of that powder. If you are able to take a small particle, then that will be the atom, the smallest particle of matter that can exist on its own. Okay, so atoms cannot be created or destroyed. So if ever you remember when if you did a reaction and then you have your reactants and you have your product, what is happening is that the substances that you combine to form the product, the number of atoms before is always equal to the number of atoms after. That is what we mean. Atoms cannot be created or destroyed. And then we also know that atoms, not all atoms are the same. Just like people, we are human beings, but we are not the same. So atoms are like that. Point seven, anything that is made up of only one kind of atom is called an element. The atoms of some elements exist individually because they cannot react with other elements. The atoms of some elements combine to form diatomic molecules. Yes, just just the fact that some atoms cannot combine and they exist alone. There are some other atoms that can combine. They can interact with other atoms. Okay, now let's go on. All the objects that we see, the food we eat, the air that we breathe, and even our bodies are all examples of matter. Matter is the name given to anything that has mass and takes up space. All right, let's go on. Atoms are the building blocks of matter. So, for example, as I use the chalk as an example, I take the chalk, I break it down into pieces, then into powder. Then, if I want my chalk, I can put them again and mold my chalk again. So atoms are the building blocks of matter. Atoms are very small and cannot be seen with the naked eye unless it's powerful microscope or powerful instrument. Atoms are indivisible. You remember the term we just saw there? They are indivisible, meaning they cannot be divided further and cannot be created or destroyed. Although everything is made up of atoms, not all atoms are the same. So, for example, the atoms of hydrogen are different from the atoms of what? Sodium. Or let me say the atoms of hydrogen are different from the atoms of what? Helium. Okay. Atoms of elements can be found individually or in pairs as diatomic molecules. Okay. So atoms of elements can be found individually. So you remember we said they exist in single. So those ones that are in single are different. But there are also atoms that can do what? Come together and give you what? Give you a diatomic molecule. All right. Now let's move to the next. Okay, let's look at this development, conceptual development. So as we said, matter is everything that we can see, either living or non-living. A dead wood, a dead animal, a piece of stone, a tree, a crocodile, a fish in the pond. Yes. So matter is everything that is around us. B, although surfaces of objects look smooth, they are all made up of what particles called atoms. See, we cannot see these atoms because they are too small. We can only see atoms when there are enough of them together in one place. And if we have what? A microscope. So you must take note. We are saying they are small indivisible particles. So what it means is that individually we cannot see them. But when they are put together, then we can use a microscope and then we can see that. All right. A single grain of salt contains about 1 trillion atoms. Can you imagine that? So you take salt, then you manage to take a one grain, just a piece. That piece alone contains 1 trillion atoms. 1 trillion atoms. Okay. Now the word atom means indivisible, which means that an atom cannot be cut into smaller pieces. Okay. I hope you are following. But you can, if you can hear me well, if you have any question, you can ask. Yeah, the road, the sky, clouds, birds. Yes, everything is there. Yeah. Okay, guys. All right. So let's continue. I'm very happy you are hearing me. All right. Now let's continue. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Now, since we are talking about atoms, and then we saying atoms comes together to give us matter, and then we said substances that are made up of atoms of the same kind, and then we said these atoms that are made up of atoms of the same kind can also be combined together. So we are going to look at the periodic table now, and then we see the different types of atoms that we are talking of that they are not the same. We will also look at the different types of elements that can come together to give you a molecule. Then we can also see the protons that are found in the nucleus of atoms located on the periodic table. Okay, just to give you a background. Now on the periodic table, you remember we've already spoken about this. So this topic, the periodic table, is just a kind of introduction. So let's look at the periodic table in this regard. Atoms of one element are different from atoms of another element. So, for example, what are we saying? If I have lithium, I hope you can see lithium. I hope you can see lithium. Lithium is different from, let's go. Can you see argon? Guys, can you see lithium and argon? Lithium is on my far left, argon is on my far right. So what is happening is that it's saying atoms of elements are different from atoms of another element. So they will not be the same. Okay, now let's continue. When we look at the periodic table, for example, copper atoms, can you see copper atoms? If you can see copper atoms, I want you to write what? The atomic number for copper for me. If you can see it, what is the atomic number and mass number of copper? Okay, so, all right. Anonymous, I will come back to your question, but I was just saying that I read a statement that says that when we look at the periodic table, copper atoms are different from zinc atoms because they have got what different chemical properties. And my question is, if you can see copper from the periodic table, write the atomic number and mass number before we continue so that I will come back and answer your question. Okay, are we together? I said copper, Natalia, copper, copper. What you are giving me is carbon. Still check again. So somebody is asking the question that, so what an atom is naturally made of and what rather that matter can an atom build? Okay, so let me give you this an example. All right, perfect, Natalia. All right, so I'm going to take the chalk, a piece of chalk, and explain something. If I take a piece of chalk, Anonymous, I'm answering your question. If I take a piece of chalk and I break it down into powder, into powder. And then I'm able to take a piece of that powder. Then that is the atom. Now, if I want my chalk back again, the stick of chalk, so it means I will have to gather the atoms again and mold them. So when I gather them, atoms, from atoms, I get molecule, and then from molecule, I get matter. So atoms are used to build molecules, and molecules are used to build matter. I hope I explained I explained uh, your question to you. All right, now let's go to the next point. They say, however, all copper atoms are exactly the same. Yeah. So copper and zinc are different. But if you are talking of zinc and copper, their atoms are the same. Okay. Then let's go on. The atoms of the noble gases exist individually. The atoms of noble gases exist individually. So look at the periodic table. I want to say this. Mention the elements that are on your far right, far right. Can you mention them? They are in group 18. So please write down the elements in group 18. Okay, that's good. Anonymous. Let's continue. Okay, neon, that's good. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Okay, yeah, that's great. So if you got all of them, you would have seen that they will look similar to this. They will look similar to it. We have helium, we have neon, we have argon, we have krypton, we have xenon, and we have random. Now, all these atoms or elements are known as the noble gases. They are also the same thing as the inert gases. But most notably, they are popularly also called the halogens. The halogens. The halogens. So examples of the halogens are helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and random. An example of noble gases are the same thing: helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and random. Okay, now let's move on. Okay, guys, the next point says the atoms of other elements such as hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen combine to form diatomic molecules. Okay, diatomic molecules. So what do we mean by that? Now let's look at the diagram here. The diagram here. You can see that we have got these atoms of helium. They are single. Now let's look at the atoms of oxygen molecule. They are double. What it means is that helium atoms cannot interact with other atoms. Cannot interact with other atoms. So that's why they are single. And oxygen atoms can react with other oxygen atoms to give you oxygen molecule. But one will ask, let's say, why is it that helium cannot react with another atom? So we have oxygen atom, which is O2. Equally, we should have gotten helium atom, which is what H2 as a gas, but that is not the case. The reason is that helium, the outermost shell, is already filled up or is in full. So substances that have got outermost shells, outermost energy levels that are already occupied cannot interact with others again. And that is why they cannot be one. They cannot be H2. They cannot exist as diatomic. But when we look at oxygen, oxygen can, because their outermost is not that filled up, so they are able to accommodate to get another electrons or to interact with other atoms so that they can get what diatomic molecule. So the fluorine, the nitrogen are all what diatomic molecule. So I want you, if you were following, we have got the periodic table. I want you to mention 10, 10 uh, metals and non-metals. So metals should be 5 and non-metals should be 5 also. Post your answers so that we will look at them. Keep your questions coming. Natalia, what are you referring to? Come back to me again. What are you referring to? Hello, guys. Hello, guys. Yeah, sorry for there was some network stability here. Are you done with the activity? All right, so let's do the activity now. Guys, are you following? Hello? I'm saying let's do the activities on the screen. Okay. Then question 2B. That's great. All right. I'm very impressed about you are all doing very well. Okay. Let's keep them coming, guys. All right. Are you guys done? Okay. So let's go to the next. Okay. This is the next. So the question says, list all the substances from the table that are elements, write their names and formulae, and And then question 2 says, list all the substances from the table that are compounds. Yeah, all of them. All of them. Question 3 is referring to the table. Question 4 is referring to the table. Okay. Okay. All right. Now let's go on to they say that are compounds. Yeah, some of you don't go beyond. If you look at the two tables we have got, you are now writing outside the what is on the tables here. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's supposed to be nitrogen molecule, but the nitrogen, yes, that is the correct way you are seeing them here. Yeah. Amolen, what you are seeing on the table, that's the correct way is supposed to be written. That's nitrogen gas, chlorine gas, and hydrogen gas. And then we also have what? Oxygen gas. Yeah, but mostly sometimes because you are typing, you cannot write it. That's why when you write it like the way you have done is understandable. Okay. All right, guys, are you ready to see the corrections? Natalia, you have a question. Ask. You have raised up your hand. Okay, ask your question. Oh, all right. You mean to say I should give you, or you mean to say we should do the corrections now, Natalie and Tyrus Anonymous? Is that what I get from you guys? All right. If that is so, let's go on to the corrections. Okay, so these are the corrections. You might write them down And this is how the marking is going to be done. Those of you who said matter is everything or anything that has mass and can occupy space, you are correct. For 2 marks. For 1 mark, what are the smallest building blocks of atoms? That is another 1 mark. Okay. Yes. Now, so you are seeing that question 2 says, are all atoms the same? No, the atoms of different elements are different. Okay, let's go on. What are two identical atoms called that exist together? They are diatomic molecule. And then some of you did well. Now, when we come to question 3, it says list all the substances from the table that are elements. Write their names and formula. So, from the table, there are 4. So that will give you 4 marks. In fact, 8. The name, the formula, 2 marks. Name, formula, 2 marks. Name, formula, 2 marks. Name, formula, 2 marks. Okay. Okay, so then nitrogen formula and name and formula 2 marks. Okay, so let's see question 4. List all the substances from the table that are compound. Write their names and formula. So you can see water, water formula, carbon dioxide formula, and name, formula and name, sodium formula and name. So there are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that will be 12. If you are able to write the formula and the name, 1 mark, formula and the name, 1 mark. Okay. So these are the corrections. So I'm going to allow you time to ask your questions again before we proceed or to the summary. Okay, guys, are you there? All right, guys, are you there? Yes, I'm saying after these corrections, you are allowed to ask your questions again. But guys, I'm waiting for your question before I will ask mine. Okay. All right. If you don't have any question, then our class is coming to an end, and then yeah, I will send you. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Feel free to always comment if you didn't enjoy the lesson so that I will always try to adjust myself. So I'm here to assist you and serve you better. So anytime you feel that you didn't enjoy it, just say holla me, or say just look into my face and say today your lesson was not nice, but I'm very happy you people are saying it was enjoyable. So I will always try to do my best and explain the concepts to your understanding. So in the absence of any other thing, hope to see you tomorrow. All right. Thanks and enjoy the other lessons. Bye.